Before we begin, I want you to ask yourself one question. What if the biggest battle in your life were never meant to be fought with arguments? What if the way you live, the way you grow, the way you stay silent is already speaking louder than words? This is not just an audiobook, this is a journey. A journey into understanding people, understanding yourself, and mastering the silent power that most people ignore. So, if you are someone who wants to grow quietly, who wants to build real self control, who wants to win in life without unnecessary conflict, then this is for you. And before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe to this channel because what you are about to hear might change the way you see people forever. Now, take a deep breath, relax your mind, and let's begin this journey. 6. Outgrow old habits and old circles. There comes a point in life where growth stops feeling exciting and starts feeling lonely. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are changing. And change creates distance. Distance from old habits, distance from old routines, distance from old people. At first, it is not very noticeable. You start waking up earlier, you start thinking differently, you start choosing better. Small changes, quiet changes, but over time, those small changes begin to separate you from the life you once lived. Imagine this, you are walking on a road with a group of people. For a long time, you all walk at the same pace, same direction, same mindset. It feels comfortable, familiar, safe. But one day, you decide to walk a little faster. Not to leave them behind, but to move forward. At first, it doesn't seem like a big difference, but slowly, step by step, the gap increases. And suddenly, you look back and realize you are no longer where you used to be, and neither are they. This is the moment where most people feel confused because growth is pulling them forward, but attachment is pulling them back. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who lived a very ordinary life, late nights, unproductive days, endless distractions. His habits were not helping him grow, but they felt comfortable. And his circle shared the same lifestyle. They laughed together, wasted time together, stayed the same together. And for a long time, he didn't question it until one day something inside him changed. Not suddenly, not dramatically. Just a quiet realization, this is not the life I want. And from that moment, he began to change. He started waking up earlier, he reduced distractions, he began focusing on his goals. At first, no one noticed, but slowly his routine changed. He stopped staying up late, stopped wasting time, stopped engaging in things that didn't help him grow. And that's when people around him noticed, not with support, but with questions. Why are you acting different? Why are you becoming so serious? Why can't you be like before? And that's when it becomes difficult. Because growth doesn't just challenge you, it challenges your environment. Your old habits will try to pull you back. Your old circle will try to remind you of who you used to be. Not always in a bad way, sometimes through jokes, sometimes through pressure, sometimes through emotional attachment. But the message is the same. Stay the same, because when you change, it forces others to see their own lack of change, and not everyone is ready for that. So, what happens next? You feel torn. Part of you want to grow, part of you doesn't want to lose people. And this is the truth that most people avoid. You cannot grow and stay the same at the same time. Growth requires change, and change requires letting go. Not always completely, but enough to create space for your new skill. Now, understand this clearly. Outgrowing people does not mean you hate them. Outgrowing habits does not mean you regret your past. It simply means you are evolving. Just like a child outgrows old clothes. Not because they are bad, but because they no longer fit. The same happens in life. Old habits that once felt normal start feeling limiting. Old conversations start feeling empty. Old environments start feeling uncomfortable. And that discomfort is a sign that you are becoming someone new. But here is the hardest part: letting go doesn't always happen loudly, sometimes it happens silently. You talk less, you meet less, you connect less, and slowly distance grows. And that distance can feel painful because humans are wired for connections. But remember this: not all connections are meant to last forever. Some people are part of your journey, not your destination, and that's okay. Because if you hold on to everything, you leave no space for what you are becoming. Now, let's talk about habits. Habits are powerful. They shape your daily life, they shape your mindset, they shape your future, and most of them are invisible. You don't notice them because they feel normal. But normal does not always mean good. Sometimes your biggest limitation is what you have become used to. So, when you start breaking those habits, it feels uncomfortable because you are stepping out of familiarity. But that discomfort is growth. Every time you choose a better habit, you are choosing a better future. Every time you let go of a bad habit, you are freeing yourself. And slowly, piece by piece, you rebuild your life. But remember, as you grow, as you change, as you outgrow, not everyone will come with you. Some will stay behind, some will drift away, some will not understand. And yes, some may even become distant or silently negative, not because you hurt them, but because you changed the dynamic. And when dynamics change, relationships shift. But don't let that stop you, because staying the same just to keep everyone comfortable is the fastest way to lose yourself. So choose growth, even if it feels lonely, even if it feels difficult, even if it creates distance. Because at the end of the day, you are not here to remain the same person forever. You are here to evolve, to improve, to become who you are meant to be. 7. Stay positive in negative situations. Life is not always kind. There will be moments when things don't go your way, when plans fail, when people disappoint, when situations feel unfair. Moments where negativity surrounds you. In those moments, most people react the same way. They complain, they blame, they lose hope because negativity feels natural. But positivity is a choice and not an easy one. Imagine this: you are going through a difficult time. Nothing seems to be working, efforts are not giving results, people are not supporting you, situations feel out of control. And everywhere you look, you see negativity. Now, in that moment, ask yourself, what is easier, to complain or to stay positive? The answer is obvious. Negativity is easy. It requires no effort, no discipline, no awareness. You just react. But positivity requires strength. It requires control over your thoughts, control over your emotions, control over your perspective. And that is why very few people choose it. Let me tell you a story. There were two friends facing the same situation. Both lost an opportunity. Both faced rejection. Both felt disappointed. But their reactions were completely different. The first one said, "This always happens to me. Nothing works in my favor." What's the point of trying? He gave up. The second one paused, took a breath, and said, "This is difficult but not the end. There must be something to learn here. I will try again." Same situation, different mindset. And over time, their lives moved in different directions because your mindset does not just affect how you feel, it affects what you do next. Negativity stops you, positivity moves you forward. But here is something deeper. When you stay positive in a negative environment, you stand out because most people reflect their surroundings. If the environment is negative, they become negative. But when you stay positive, you break that pattern, and that makes people uncomfortable. They may think, why is this person still calm? Why are they not reacting like us? Do they not understand the situation? But the truth is, you understand it better because you are not controlled by it. Positivity does not mean ignoring problems, it does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing not to let problems control you. It means facing reality but focusing on situations. It means feeling emotions but not becoming them. And this kind of mindset is powerful because it gives you stability in unstable situations. Now think about your life. How many times have you reacted negatively without thinking? How many times have you allowed one bad moment to ruin your entire day? That is the power of uncontrolled negativity. But imagine if you paused just for a moment and choose a different response. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of saying, "This is the end," you say, "This is a challenge." That small shift changes everything because your mindset follows your focus. If you focus on problems, you feel stuck. If you focus on solutions, you find moments. But here is where it connects to your journey. When you stay positive in negative situations, you don't just grow, you also disturb others because your calmness highlights their panic, your focus highlights their confusion, your strength highlights their weakness, and not everyone is comfortable facing that contrast. Some may mock you. Why are you acting so positive? Be realistic. Stop pretending. But understand this, you are not pretending, you are choosing. Choosing strength over weakness, choosing clarity over chaos, choosing growth over excuses. And that choice is rare. So don't lose it. No matter how difficult the situation is, hold on to your mindset because situations are temporary, but your mindset becomes your identity, and identity shapes your life. So, when life tests you and negativity surrounds you, pause, take a breath, and remember, you may not control what happens, but you always control how you respond, and that response can change everything. 8. Don't compare, just evolve. From a very young age, we are taught to compete. In school, we compare marks. In games, we compare performance. In life, we compare success. Who is ahead? Who is better? Who is winning? And slowly, without realizing, we begin to measure our lives based on others. Imagine this: two people walking on different paths, different goals, different journeys, different timelines, but still they look at each other and start comparing. Does it make sense? Not really. But it happens every day because comparison feels natural. It gives us a quick way to judge our progress. If I am ahead, I am doing well. If I am behind, I am failing. But here is the truth: comparison is misleading because you don't see the full picture of someone else's life. You only see what is visible: their success, their highlights, their achievements. but not their struggles, not their failures, not their journey. So, when you compare your reality to someone else's highlight, you create unnecessary pressure, and that pressure pushes you into competition. But competition has a hidden cost. It shifts your focus. Instead of asking, how can I grow? You start asking, how can I beat them? And that question changes everything because now your progress depends on someone else. If they move forward, you feel behind. If they succeed, you feel threatened. And slowly your peace disappears. Let me tell you a story. There were two runners. The first runner kept looking sideways, watching others, measuring their speed, adjusting based on them. And the second runner kept looking forward, focused on their path, their pace, their progress. Now tell me, who do you think runs better? The one who is distracted or the one who is focused? The answer is clear because when you look sideways, you lose direction, but when you look forward, you gain momentum. This is the difference between competition and evolution. Competition is external, evolution is internal. Competition depends on others, evolution depends on you. Competition creates pressure, evolution creates progress. When you choose to evolve, everything changes. You stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You stop chasing people and start chasing improvement. You stop proving and start becoming. And this shift is powerful because now your only competition is who you were yesterday. Every day you ask yourself, am I better than before? Did I improve even a little? Did I grow? And that focus brings peace because progress becomes personal, not public. Now, here is where it connects to your journey of winning enemies without arguments. When you stop competing and start evolving, you confuse people because they expect competition, they expect you to react, to compare, to prove something, but you don't. You simply grow quietly, and that quiet growth creates discomfort. Some may think, why is this person not competing? Why are they not reacting? Do they think they are above us? But the truth is, you are not above anyone, you are just focused on yourself. And not everyone understands that because many people depend on comparison to define themselves. So, when you remove yourself from that system, they don't know how to place you, and that uncertainty creates distance. But remember, you are not here to fit into everyone's expectations. You are here to build your own path. Now imagine a life where you are not constantly comparing, where someone else's success does not affect your peace, where you can genuinely feel happy for others without feeling behind. That is freedom, and that freedom comes from evolution, not competition, because evolution is endless. There is always something to improve, something to learn, something to become. And when you focus on that, you never feel stuck. You never feel left behind because your journey is always moving forward. So stop looking sideways, stop measuring your life based on others, stop chasing what was never meant for you. Instead, look within, focus on your growth, your habits, your mindset. Because the moment you stop competing and start evolving, you don't just grow, you transform. And in that transformation, you find something greater than winning. You find peace. 9. Speak less, do more. In a world full of noise, talking has become easy. Everyone has something to say, everyone has something to show, everyone wants to be heard. But very few actually do because talking feels like progress. When you say your plans out loud, it feels real. When you tell people your goals, it feels like you have already started. When others listen and appreciate your ideas, it gives a sense of achievement. But here is the truth: talking about doing something is not the same as doing it. Imagine this: you tell someone, I am going to change my life, I am going to work hard, I am going to become successful. They respond with encouragement. Wow, that's great. You can do it. That's amazing. And in that moment, you feel good, motivated, excited, confident. But then something happens. That feeling of satisfaction reduces your urgency to act because your mind has already tasted the reward without doing the work. Let me tell you a story. There were two friends, both had the same goal: to improve their lives. The first one talked about it constantly. He shared his plans, his ideas, his future. Every day he spoke about what he was going to do. The second one said very little. He listened more, spoke less, and quietly started working. Days passed, weeks passed. The first friend was still talking, the second friend was changing, and one day the difference became visible. The one who spoke less had results. The one who spoke more had excuses. This is the power of action because action does not need attention, it needs discipline. Now think about your own life. How many things have you said you would do but never actually did? Not because you couldn't, but because you didn't follow through. And how many times did talking about it make you feel like you were already on the way? That is the illusion. Words create temporary satisfaction, actions create real results. Now, let's go deeper. Why do people talk more and do less? Because talking is easy, it requires no effort, no risk, no failure. But action is different. It requires commitment, consistency, courage. Because when you act, you face reality, and reality is not always comfortable. You may fail, you may struggle, you may feel slow, but that is the process, and most people avoid that process. So instead, they stay in the world of words where everything feels possible but nothing actually changes. But you are different. You are here to grow, and growth requires action. Now, here is something important. When you start speaking less and doing more, people notice because silence is unusual. In a world where everyone is talking, your silence stands out. Some may think, why is this person so quiet? What are they doing? Why are they not sharing? But they don't see what's happening behind the scenes: the effort, the discipline, the work. And when results appear, that silence becomes powerful because now you don't need to explain yourself, your results speak, and results are louder than words. But here is where it connects to your journey. When you speak less and do more, you remove yourself from unnecessary conversations. No arguments, no debates, no need to prove anything. And that creates a different kind of presence, a presence that is calm, focused, unbothered. And not everyone is comfortable with that. Because when you stop talking, people have less access to you. They don't know your plans, they don't know your next move, they can't predict you. And unpredictability creates curiosity, sometimes even discomfort. But that's okay because your goal is not to be understood by everyone. Your goal is to become better. So reduce the noise, speak when it matters, share when it adds value, but don't feel the need to announce everything. Because the more you talk, the more you divide your focus, and the more you act, the more you build your future. So let your work be your voice. Let your discipline be your message. Let your results be your introduction. Because in the end, people don't remember what you said, they remember what you did. 10. Be yourself, be unapologetically. At the end of everything, after all the lessons, after all the growth, after all the changes, there is one truth that remains: be yourself. It sounds simple, but in reality, it is one of the hardest things to do. Because from the moment we begin to understand the world, we are taught to fit in, to behave a certain way, to speak a certain way, to think a certain way. We learn what is acceptable, what is normal, what is right. And slowly, without realizing, we begin to adjust ourselves to match others. We hide parts of who we are, we change how we express ourselves, we filter our thoughts, all to feel accepted. Because deep inside there is a fear, the fear of being judged, the fear of being rejected, the fear of not belonging. So we wear masks, different masks for different people. One for friends, one for family, one for the world. And over time we become so used to these masks that we forget what our real face looks like. Now imagine this: a person who doesn't pretend, who doesn't adjust themselves just to fit in, who speaks honestly, acts naturally, lives authentically. That person is rare. And because they are rare, they stand out. But standing out comes with a price. Not everyone will understand them. Not everyone will accept them. Not everyone will like them. And that is where most people struggle. Because they want to be themselves, but they also want to be liked by everyone. And the truth is, you can't have both. If you try to be liked by everyone, you will slowly lose yourself. But if you choose to be yourself, you may lose some people. And that choice is not easy. Let me tell you a story. There was a person who always tried to please others. They adjusted their opinions, changed their behavior, agreed even when they disagreed, just to avoid conflict, just to stay accepted. And for a long time it worked. People liked them, included them, people appreciated them. But inside, something was missing because they were not being real, they were being acceptable. And one day, they reached a point where they felt tired, not physically, but emotionally. Tired of pretending, tired of adjusting, tired of being someone they were not. And in that moment, they made a quiet decision to be myself. Not loudly, not aggressively, just honestly. They started speaking their true thoughts, started expressing their real feelings, started living without pretending, and slowly things began to change. Some people appreciated it, but others did not. Some disagreed, some distanced themselves, some even judged. And for a moment, it felt uncomfortable because when you stop pretending, you lose fake comfort. But you gain something real: freedom. Freedom to think, freedom to speak, freedom to be. And that freedom is powerful because when you are truly yourself, you don't have to remember who you are pretending to be. You don't have to adjust constantly. You don't have to seek approval. You just exist as you are. And that authenticity creates a different kind of confidence. Not loud, not showy, but deep. A confidence that comes from self acceptance. Now, here is where it connects to everything you have learned. When you stay calm, when you grow quietly, when you say no, when you stop explaining, when you stay consistent, when you outgrow, when you stay positive, when you evolve, When you act more than you speak, you are not just improving your life, you are becoming yourself. And that version of you will not be liked by everyone because authenticity removes filters. And without filters, people see the real you. Some will connect with it, some will respect it, but some will not like it. And that's okay because your goal is not universal approval, it is inner alignment. Being yourself unapologetically does not mean being rude, it does not mean ignoring others, it does not mean being careless, it means being real while still being respectful. It means choosing truth over comfort. It means living your life without constantly seeking permission. Now ask yourself, who are you? When no one is watching, what do you believe? What do you feel? What do you want? Without influence, without pressure, without fear. That version of you is your truth, and that truth deserves to be lived. So stop hiding, stop adjusting, stop pretending, stop shrinking yourself just to fit into places you were never meant to stay. Because the moment you choose to be yourself fully, honestly, unapologetically, you don't just change your life, you free it. And as along the way, you may lose some people, you may gain some enemies without any argument, but you will also gain something that most people never truly have: yourself. And now you have reached the end of this journey. You have learned how to stay calm, how to grow quietly, how to protect your energy, how to become someone who doesn't need to argue to win. But here is the truth: this is not the end, this is just the beginning, because knowledge means nothing if you don't apply it. So, from this moment, start small, stay consistent, choose yourself, and most importantly, live what you are learned. If this journey made you think, if it changed even a small part of your mindset, make sure you subscribe to this channel because this is just one step in a much bigger transformation. And before you go, ask yourself one question: if I continue living exactly the same way for the next 5 years, will I be proud of who I become? Think about it, and I will see you in the next journey.